Happy holidays! I've got a gift for you. Buy 4 tarot readings or coaching session gift codes in any combination and you'll receive 2 additional gift codes too. So use all 6 codes for yourself or share them with friends and family as holiday gifts, stocking stuffers, or maybe even birthday presents. These don't expire, so you can feel free to use them and share them throughout the year. Merry Christmas, and thank you so much for being my friends. Hi there, Scorpio. This is your weekly reading for the week of December 28th through January 3rd. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to you. I apologize, these are being uploaded a little bit late. I decided to spend Saturday night, all night, in the emergency room. It really amounted to some anxiety and exhaustion. So I thought that only happened to fancy people, but it happened to me. Monday, the card you've drawn is the Ace of Swords, and this is where you come right out of the gate with the energy of confidence and conviction. So even if you don't feel that you can tell your truth to everyone or that it isn't worth the aggravation to explain yourself when you already have, that's fine, because even knowing that you're confident because you're right, and I'm not just saying because you feel like being right all the time, I mean like where you really know what is and what isn't going on and whether other people's perceptions match your uncanny ability to see through the superficial. Well, almost doesn't matter, does it? And with that said, keep this in mind as you move through the week. These energies, the way I read the cards, it really isn't just going to be one card for one day and boom, like wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. This card is for Monday only. And at 11:59, it's not like that. So just keep the energies moving fluidly. I don't think that it's ever worth rocking a boat and wasting energy on those who, like anything else, might be broken and don't need fixing. So just let it go, and I think you're going to be just fine. Tuesday, the card you've drawn is the Death card, and this is wonderful, as you know, because you are the natural ruler of the 8th house, and the 8th house is all about death and taxes, wouldn't you know it? So here the Death card is talking about a transmutation, a transformation, that literally one end, one phase, a big one of your life is over. And now as we move solidly into 2016 with Saturn peacefully behind you, lessons learned, gifts left at the door for you, it's time to become who you want to be. Now take a look at yourself in the mirror and say, wow, who am I? This year flew by, which I'm actually thankful for, because all of you know I'm a Scorpio with Virgo rising. So I can't believe the year went by this fast, because I swear to God, I was doing this last year, even though the conditions and circumstances, and definitely, even though apparently I need more relaxation, my attitudes were just about the same. So with that said, let these energies pass peacefully. Thank all of the divine energies for all that you have learned, especially having had to kind of roll up your sleeves and do some cleanup work, tying up the loose ends and dotting the final I's and crossing the final T's of your contractual obligation to Saturn's transit through Scorpio. We were done with that in September, fully moved away. And so now we go into 2016 with no more of that. Of course, we'll have Saturn transits and Saturn returns, and that's all good. But, for the most part, these are lessons that we don't appreciate until we are far ahead and in hindsight able to say. And the older you get, I promise you, for you younger people, the older you get, this easier becomes to look back and say, wow, and I'm so glad. And then the distance between the lessons and the reflection becomes shorter. So live your life and try not to mature 40 years down the road faster than you need to. Live each day like it should be lived, in the present, in the moment, of course, with the usual responsibilities and considerations and planning where necessary. But, if worry, anxiety, or stress becomes part of your experience again, you need to sit down and do a Dick Van Dyke Fire kind of infomercial. If you're old enough, you would remember that. What would he do? Stop, drop, and roll. If that's what's going on, pretend it might as well be a fire. Stop, drop, and roll. Put that thing out and say, yeah, no, thank you. I've spent enough of my time anxiously pondering the things that may never happen to me. So with that said, the sun in Capricorn is in your solar third house of communications and short distance trips and even learning and or the impetus to do so. It's also the house that rules our thinking, all kinds of communications, of course, which is just kind of the typical and standard, the rote interpretations. But this is also where, with the new information that we'll get or the new contacts that we make here soon or that you may have recently, you'll find that opportunities come through your communication with so much emphasis here in your third house, and with Pluto there, you might continue to find that whether you call it introspection or examining your own deeper motives and even modes for your styles of communication, you might find that you're evolving along with the help of this death card as well. And this, if anything, if you were like, well, I didn't even think about that, I wasn't considering that I needed to actually let anything go or change anything or modify anything. Well, change is always good, isn't it? And since you are not the same person you were even 6 months ago, then it might be a good idea to consider these things and to wonder what else you can refine in your communication. There's going to be a great emphasis on this. I mean, we're going to be taking Mercury in Capricorn 1 degree into Aquarius, where it will hang out and chill for 8 or 9 days, and then it will go right back into Capricorn and bring up those themes that we were experiencing or got the inklings of in December, and then it will spend a time there. And so this gives us an opportunity to rethink and to process again the information and our considerations, everything about the thinking. Now, some of you with Pallas here in your third house of communication could be thinking of things that are a little bit more unusual for you because you haven't even had time for this, but your views on politics, I would just keep from communicating those at sensitive times. Quite obviously, that never really works. I mean, we could say whatever we want on YouTube and people can subscribe or not or think or, agree. The only kind of rules I've ever had about my own Facebook, my private page is, this is my house. These are my murals. If you want to debate, go do it on your own page where I'm not, and I'll talk about my beliefs. So have your beliefs and be confident in your right to have an opinion on every damn thing. But don't let anybody challenge you because it won't be productive to even talk about this. This is already a given with politics, and I'm just telling you it's not even worth it. that would be one consideration. I'm going to do a few extra things here for you because I feel like it, and you guys are very deep and so looking forward to the changes and the new energies. And I promise you, you're really going to love having Mars in Scorpio in your solar first house. Let me tell you something. I believe it spans a record like 182, 183 days there. We've got plenty of Mars. The only danger is going to be, of course, overdoing it, breaking a leg. I'll probably not go horseback riding this year, only because I'm thinking, I know myself, and I will do too much. Also, the other consideration that I really want to give you extra information on because of such activity in the third house, which combined with Mars in Scorpio and the way that we've got the nodes are going to be, the north node will be pairing up with with Venus, Jupiter. Now I can't remember where I was. I suppose I should slap. Here, let me take a drink. Just a moment. Anyway, that's going to give us all a real burst of fruit flavor in Virgo, your solar 11th house, and so you may be around more people with Jupiter there. So I would just kind of keep it light and enjoy it because you're probably going to make a lot of contacts, new contacts, people who could be influential, including there could be a benefactor, somebody opening the doors to you, maybe a new client that is exceedingly generous. Remember to take care of yourself as well. We're in the world of working. No matter what we do, we have to keep body and soul together. And I have to do that. I'm a single mom. I have 3 sons, 2 dogs, and 4 cats. And so, even if I want to say what I feel like saying, there are times that I even have to moderate and sometimes censor what I say in particular arenas. Now, in my personal life and in places where I can just be, queen bee, like my personal Facebook page, and in my home, this is where we can usually do these things. But, mind you, not everybody takes that well. And I'm not saying that you should kiss ass, to get anywhere. These are just the things that bode well for us to keep to ourselves. If you've got a very strong opinion about something controversial like politics and Bruce Caitlyn Jenner, you know what I mean? I don't know if I'd be expressing so many of those things, considering that they could get a little big, with the North Node and Jupiter there, which is really going to make it very, very likely, especially for you Scorpio rising, very likely for you to have several big, if not financially very beneficial opportunities in 2016. We'll talk more about that in your annual forecast. Also to note here with Pluto hanging out and with Mercury there, again, you could say some things that are probably right on the money, and I would just watch who I say those things to or in what forum. Sometimes I have nightmares about the things I say. It just kind of depends, because really I mean it when I say my family is usually the only group of people that will be offended, because everybody else knows how to live and let live, right? And somehow my family doesn't. Not that it really matters. I don't see too much of my family because there's just not too many left. Like, they're generationally speaking, a lot of them are in the grave or almost there, or too young to really even know why I am the way I am. But also considering that Shariklo is there, you need to keep everything in perspective. So even if you and I feel that, let me pick something very controversial, that Bruce Caitlyn Jenner needs to shut up, because she's really not doing the transgender community a favor. Because look, let's face it, I'm just going to throw it out there. Most transgendered persons are living below the poverty line. They don't have access to very aggressive cosmetic surgery and chemical treatment procedures. So when she thinks that, you've got to look good and work it, girl. And I'm like, you know what? Most of them are not drawing. They don't want to, trust me. They don't want to draw attention to themselves and their situation because they truly want to be who they know they are. I'm not saying that Bruce doesn't. I grew up with him on a box of Wheaties. And but this is where keeping it in perspective is, look, I've got my opinion. You may have your opinion, and maybe you think, oh, no, this is so great for the transgender community. And I'm like, no. But the truth is, keeping it in perspective, it's really not important. I'm not living his life. I don't write his checks. Yeah, I want him to pay the person's family who he knocked off the side of the road and killed, and seems to be, look, you're wearing dresses that cost thousands, and you can't pay off these people regardless of what you think of those stepkids. Regardless, just get it done, because we're all watching this and we're like, we'd have to pay it because we wouldn't have the money to hire a bunch of, plus karmically, none of us would want to do that. We'd be like, Jesus, I just killed somebody, or it was my fault that this happened. So keeping it in perspective, back to the real issue, is that it really doesn't necessarily matter. And the other thing I want to say is about vertex here in the same house. I'm not going to give you any sensitized dates because not everybody even pays attention to these, but I do, because I'm a Scorpio like you. So I'm interested in everything. Vertex here is also adding the idea that we need to consider that there are more sides to a cube than what we can see. So even if you feel the need to communicate something based on what you know at this time tentatively, I'm going to guarantee you, or even put money on the idea that you don't have all the information. But it's not that you haven't been looking for it. It's that it doesn't exist at this time. So it will show up here pretty soon, as Mercury goes back and forth and, has a party. So I want to also suggest that you not make any massive decisions, not because Mercury is retrograde, because it's in a very stable, it will end up in a very stable position, setting the tone. But because it starts off in Aquarius, I just don't want it to in any way potentially destabilize all of the progress you've made with all of your hard work. I mean, be true, fly your freak flag high. But remember that there are just certain things, and I have a hard time learning this even as I get older. I mean, like, I can do it here with you guys, my friends, with my kids and my family. My mother, if I want to rub her wrong real good, then there are certain things that I could say, like I say Barack Obama and my mother practically has a heart attack, and it's almost funny. So watch those communications. My thought is also that Mercury there in Capricorn, that solar third house, is going to square Mars in Libra. Libra is your solar 12th house, and this is a very quiet place, but I think that if you think too much about things that don't matter, and find yourself becoming a little melancholy, anxious, or even not sleeping well, that's your sign to release it. And even if you want to be as anal as I am because of my Virgo rising, you can agree to put it in a pending basket on your mental desk. You don't have to look at it. In fact, don't, because you don't have time for that. There's no hurry this year at all. You've got Mars hanging out with you to give you all of the energy you need. You're going to be burning the candle at both ends. Anyway, you need to get some sleep. When you feel that you are running low or you're getting sleepy, look at what happened to me. Use me as the example and make fun of me, please, because it all started on Saturday morning with me getting up at 6 o'clock to get ready for a 10 o'clock a.m. showing of Star Wars. I had anxiety because my eldest, who took us all, will have anxiety if I don't show up on time. And of course, anything could go wrong. So I'm thinking about all the work I had to do. And let me tell you, I am not getting enough sleep. I mean, like, I operate on 3-4 hours of sleep, and it finally kicked my butt. And I was so verklempt emotionally by that movie, which I love. I want to go see it again. No spoilers here. But I didn't anticipate the kind of drain it put on me emotionally. And then considering I'd had no rest and then I really wasn't feeling well, I ended up at the emergency room before 11 o'clock at night and didn't get home until the next day. And I was so pissed off because I knew better. I'm supposed to know better. And yet I felt like freaking, who knows? I felt amazing, like maybe a Power Ranger or something. So don't do like what I just did, because my kids were upset at me because I didn't want to go to the emergency room, and they remembered my death dream recently. And one of those people that I dream and it happens. And I could get things years in advance, which really is frustrating because then sometimes people forget. But we've got a system in our family now that's much better. So after I got 3 big dreaded diseases in our family members in a row, and I had predicted those. So, my kids were right. And I was like, I can't do this. What if there's something really wrong here and I die? They're never going to forgive me in death and I'll ruin their lives. So we have to think about that. Sometimes we will have a tendency to feel like we've got too much energy. Then the 12th house could kick something up that should be the damn death card, and we can't reconcile it. And then there we go. Click, 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 just like clockwork, trying to make sense of something and tear it down to its basic structures, which isn't always necessary. I mean, okay, so yeah, I take like appliances apart. I work on my car and then I stare at it forever and am figuring out how to do more things. And sometimes we just can't do that when it's our body. Mechanical piece of thing, or, you could throw a toaster away and get another one for like $2 at a thrift store. But when it's your body, we can't play those games. So hear me out on that, because you're going to feel amazing next year. And, this is where we get people who aren't conditioned at all and aren't up to speed. They don't stretch. They decide they're going to power walk the crap out of this next mile. And then they rip a hamstring walking, power walking. So on Wednesday, the card you've drawn is, ooh, that's not supposed to happen that way. He is actually upright. So please ignore this. Let me put him away. So the King of Pentacles here is talking about a potential for an earth sign individual. Might be male. Could be a very masculine chick. Sorry, Bruce. And it could also just represent the energies of somebody in control of the finances. And let me tell you, you're going to really enjoy next year. Financial opportunity left and right, up and down. It'll be with Saturn there. Never fear. If you are a Scorpio rising and we're like, oh shit. No, not at all. Not at all. It makes you work hard and you will earn, and you'll be like polishing your nails against your blouse going, I am a rock star Power Ranger Ninja Turtle. So don't fear it. Don't let anybody put fear into you about this. Saturn isn't going to reward people who sit on their asses and smoke and watch soaps on TV. Shouldn't smoke. Don't sit down for too long. But I find it so hard to believe that a Scorpion would let anything go, and especially not with Mars there. So we have here also the energy of a person who could be in control of the finances that you seek financial backing in some way from. This could also represent the IRS, because that would be obvious here in the United States, at least, that we're coming into tax season. And it could be that this is your accountant, CPA, or other kind of tax attorney. And it could just be you and your badass self doing your taxes. Take your time on everything, because there's no hurry this year. Venus in Scorpio at this point will semi-square Pluto in Capricorn. So Venus in Scorpio, your solar first house, the semi-square, the danger of it is that there will be something just below the surface that you could miss in terms of communication with this sluggish, intensified pre-retrograde shadow. And I know that I'm throwing kind of a Rubik's Cube at you, but I want you to start thinking about this, that because these energies are not just smack for one day, I promise you it's not going to sneak attack you and hit you in the back of the head with a 2x4, because if you're conscious, you learned something the last few years. But a semi-square energy tends to get us thinking, yeah, I can tell that something's not quite right. I know I need to adjust something, but I don't know what it is. If you just relax and do something kind of mind-numbing like I did today, just start scrubbing a wall. Do the dishes. I do them by hand most of the time. It's mind-numbing. Let me tell you, the only time I can't is when I'm using some chemical for the oven that has fumes, and I'm like, Jesus, I need one of those breathing things that makes me look like I'm walking into some nuclear fallout. But do something mind numbing and you will see that you will locate exactly the source. My job is to give you the hint of where to look by giving you keywords. So we know that Venus is moving into Sagittarius, your solar second house of income. So we know that Venus is making an aspect very late in Scorpio and semi-squaring Pluto and Capricorn, and that ain't budging yet. So my thought is here that there is something going on with the way you communicate and something regarding your resources. This is my laser pointer, but imagine that mine is big, fat, and fuzzy, and so I'm just going to throw it in the general direction. And I would say be careful of spending money at this time. It doesn't mean that you have to have an idea, a sense of lack, or that something's going to go wrong. It's not. But right about this coming month of January, and we'll discuss that later, you could feel inclined to spend some money. And you probably, you deserve it. Let's just be real. You do everything for everyone else and you provide until you've worked your fingers to the bone. Look, even we feel guilty when we sit down and let somebody pamper us. I had a boyfriend who used to, I don't like to even think about him now. Imagine that. Typical Scorpio, right? I just, if he's under my vehicle and I go forward, it reminds me of something that happened. I got to tell you, when I was in the desert and we were on motorcycles, quads, four-wheelers, and I was riding on the back of my first husband's bike. Don't ask me what was happening. I flew up into the air, landed in front of him. He rolled over me and he stopped. I was under the bike in the sand dunes, Glamis. And thank God I had so much gear on. But he looked down at me, and then I don't remember what happened next. But he gunned it for a second. Those paddle tires left these amazing horizontal marks all up my left leg, which the hideous thing is that's the leg that I had a very successful surgery on when I was 10 years old, because I'm the queen of all kind of crashing, burning, and I did professional stunts. So I've put a screwdriver in my eye. That's all I'm going to say. So anyway, I remember the funniest thing he said was when he was looking at me and I was like, get off. He said he didn't know whether he should gun it or get off and push the bike off of me. By the time everybody got me out from under that bike, I was about to choke him and send him into a coma. And so, long story short, you could do something energetically, because some of you may be feeling this Mars thing already by degree in December. So don't spend money. Don't do anything reckless. Remember what I'm telling you. Just remember what I'm telling you. You're going to be feeling powerful, my friend. And you may feel that you need to reward yourself with something, and I'm sure you do. Let me put it this way. If it's more than a few bucks, like you're hitting that mark that's $100 or more, or something relative to you, because you could be the people that $1,000 would be like, let me think about it. Let's see how much change we have in the car. Then I want you to just think twice. How about just get past the hot dates, the bookend dates, the intensified dates, which it's pretty easy to find just about anywhere on the websites. And I haven't updated my calendar on ritayanez.com, and I got to get to that because I want to really implement some other tools for you to see hotter days than usual. I would just say wait. If it's very expensive and if it's difficult to return, then I would hold off. You'll probably change your mind, find something on sale later. And because Sagittarius is your second house of sales, this is where we go to the store and we impulse buy things that are like $500. I would still give it some time. I would do the usual prudent thing of, do I really need it? Oh, but that's so shiny. I'm a coconut crepe. Do I really want that? And then just keep thinking to yourself and then go on the internet and scour again. Then when you've scoured the internet looking for every version, you'll probably find that there's a newer version of the thing you want. Think smartwatch. And then let me know how you do, because I think you'll be able to control it well, especially since we're giving you all kinds of hints here. It's a hint parade. Thursday, we've got the Six of Swords, and this is a card that indicates you're moving away into more still waters. And it makes me want to sing a really annoying 70s song. I won't do it to you. Maybe I will. No, I won't. So the Six of Swords could also indicate that you are energetically and karmically putting away some things that need to be put into storage in your mind. And it could be thinking about past lovers, past loves. It could be also past projects that didn't go the way you wanted them to. If you really have a hard time with what you want to choose to leave behind because you're a coconut crab, then put it in your inbox on your mental desk. And then that way it's not completely out of sight. It is safe. It is in an open place where you won't feel like you're in denial or have to go locating it energetically again, right? Which sometimes can lead us to making contact with ex-lovers that we don't sure as hell need to be talking to. So let everything go behind you. Venus in Sagittarius at this point, solar second house, will sesqui-square Uranus in Aries. And Aries is your solar sixth house. Sixth house, Six of Swords, works for me. So we have here also a need to leave behind some habits and some, most likely, eating habits that we were experiencing due to Jupiter and Virgo, for those of you that are Virgo rising like me, and also for those of you with planets at sensitive degrees, or if you just looked in the mirror and said, my ass, like I do. So you may need to start working on this because your health is going to not give you problems, but it will speak to you. Your body will speak to you about what it needs. It's going to do what it says to me right now. Rita, your ankles are puffy. Go to bed. And I'm saying, no, I'm already behind because I spent all night telling bad jokes in an emergency room. And they wanted me naked the whole time. I kept saying, there's no reason for me to take my clothes off. There's no reason for me to put the gown on. And I had no metal, absolutely. I ended up with a ultrasound, CT scan, chest x-rays. Let me tell you something. And this emergency room doctor's like, you need some rest. I'm like, oh God. So the sixth house also rules things like work and service to others, but it's very much about our health and the service to ourselves, how we take care of ourselves, the routines and the habits that we do every day almost, routinely. So you need to really start thinking about what it is that you need to leave behind. If you are actually carrying weight around your body, you need to stop and ask yourself during Mercury's retrograde in Capricorn, what am I insulating myself from? Who am I keeping away? What do I want to avoid? What things do I want to say that I silence with stuffing 6 dinner rolls into my face with? This is where it's easy to say, but it's sometimes, again, like a semi-square, difficult to locate, although we know it's there. Just ask yourself questions because you ain't in no hurry. Friday, we've got the 7 of Cups upright, and this is a card that indicates that you have all these ideas and hopes and dreams and 11th house types of goals in mind, and you're thinking, wow, I've got so many goals. You probably do. Probably a very good idea to keep a notepad, a pen and paper, a voice recorder. Nowadays, I hardly know a single person who doesn't have. In fact, I can't think of a single person who isn't a child that doesn't have a cell phone. And you can have an app there to record your bursts of insight, but I would very quickly jot those down in case that app crashes during Mercury retrograde. But this also coincides with Mercury's move into Aquarius, very much an air sign. The emotional side of it is all of the hopes and wishes, so we don't have to really get over focused on the air and the cup, but the truth is that everything that is emotional to us usually ends up being in the fondest hopes and dreams and goals and things that we hold in some high regard that are valuable to us. And at this point also, we've got a very, very, very intensified Mercury retrograde shadow, so pre-retrograde shadow. So just keep in mind the things that are going on. Saturday, we've got the Emperor. I love this card. So the Emperor resonates very much with Capricorn. Obviously, doing things right and coming into power means that you're not rushing through it or powering through it. Even though there are rams up there on his this guy's throne, the energy is about initiating, but obviously he's arrived at the top. And if you look at the symbolism, that ram on the left, it's facing the top of the mountain. And that was done on purpose, like all of these cards. And so here, El Emperador is even holding a ball that looks like it's a crystal ball, right? We know that in the Two of Wands, the individual is holding a globe, the earth. Here, this individual is holding what looks like a crystal ball, and that thing that looks like the Ankh. So here, this is a person who's very rooted in the spiritual, not necessarily the religious, but he does have this ability to see the future, foretell events, and to predict successes and failures, because his wisdom is what got him to this position. Aside from the tenacity of being the mountain goat, getting to the damn top, having to be the Aries to begin with, to initiate and get there, this is the victor. He's wearing the crown of laurel leaves. And this is a person who's very, very fair and balanced. And it's almost as if to say that even to achieve in the most difficult conditions, all it requires is being in an appropriate spiritual condition, but also being very aware of the spiritual and its ability to send you signals when you need them. The Emperor is a lovely card. I love it each time I read it. I enjoy seeing the way it interacts with other cards. And here, you really are coming into your own authority. And this could also indicate that benefactor that I mentioned. There could be somebody who's watching you right now going, you know what? Thank you. You're amazing. And this is somebody who could bring you a real tangible, if not massive offer relative to your experience. But come on now, this is big. And so let me tell you this. If it comes and somebody is saying, oh yeah, got a sign on a dotted line and this is hot, hot, hot going now, 5 cases of ShamWow for every friend you... I would say, yeah, no, I'll get back to you, because if they're really that interested and you want to offer you something, they're not going to just go away. They can have their ShamWow. What you want is real. You want results. You want compensation. You want consideration and even respect. If this is whatever could present itself, which I'm not surprised when you tell me that these things go the way we talk about, because it's just the way it goes. Just remember that if it's worth benefiting you, then it will be there after Mercury goes direct. I really would like everybody to stay the hell away from the end of January. If you're going to agree to something and it is new and improved, ShamWow, then you need to get closer to February. My preference, get past the middle of February. Right in the middle of February, about the 14th, 15th, you're out of the post-retrograde shadow, and then you're clear. And we, again, have to consider that the Mercury pre-retrograde shadow is very intense here at this point. Sunday, the card that you've drawn is the 7 of Pentacles in reverse. Oh, gosh, I can't believe I did that to you. It is the 10 of Pentacles, so pretend you don't see that other thing. Now, the 10 of Pentacles in reverse is saying that there could be the element of feeling destabilized in your security, in your foundation. You may even ask yourself, is this really my house? Is this my beautiful wife? Do you guys know that song? From, what was it, the Talking Heads? Same as it ever was. I'm so sorry. You could tell I'm tired. I'm doing my best for you. I'm doing my best. So the 10 of Pentacles in reverse is saying that you might be feeling destabilized, or your little old doubts and insecurities and fears may, show up. I could tell you what it is. And it's not indigestion. It's Mars getting ready to, yay, move into Scorpio. I need it. Let me tell you something. So, and I also fear myself. So here the 10 of Pentacles in reverse is indicating that you're just feeling a little bit destabilized. I guarantee you that it is because your ancient ruler, Mars, moving into his house, is like a freaking earthquake. I mean, you may not, it would be like the earthquakes that are you from California? Because if you're from California, you know why. This is Mars moving into Scorpio is kind of like that undulating earthquake where you're rocking and rolling. I remember waking up looking at my husband going, wow, earthquake. And I went back to bed because I knew it was the rolling type. The ones I didn't like were the ones that are like, fa-funk, and then they scare the crap out of you. So here, I think that's what it is. Honestly, I truly think this is what it is. And I think that there are some hitches in your financial giddy up, in that there is some money coming to you that is delayed. And I guarantee it will show up. At worst case, it will show up at one of the points when Mercury crosses back over the steps it took, or worst case after the 25th. Be surprised either, because there could be some extra money padding this for some reason. I am totally chill with it. I think it's going to be perfect. Now, let me tell you something, you guys. It is going to be a wonderful year. Don't fear anything from the past. If this is your rising sign, this message speaks much more directly to you. If this is your sun sign, then if you do know your rising sign, listen to that one. The older you are, the more important that becomes. Now, if this is your moon sign and we're talking about the emotions, we will be addressing them in a separate reading very soon. So take good care of yourself, you guys. I love you because you're the best. And I love you because you are so pure. Even if you say to yourself, Rita, you have no idea. Well, you have no idea about me. But the truth is, we are purified by fire. The trials that have been like coals that we have walked all alone, because there wasn't anyone there to hold our hands. It wasn't that no one cared. It was because this is the way it had to be. For whatever reason, I'm not, guru enough to be able to, take a hall pass, go to heaven, tell you what it is, why it was this way, and come back. I've seen that place and I love it. I couldn't stay. We'll talk about that one day too, because it was only a few years ago here. And wow, I loved the way that felt. And no, I did not want to get back into the body, just like you've heard with near-death experiences. I was like, no, oh God, my kid, honestly. Then I got this flash of my son's face in my head, my youngest, and I thought, this is the gentle dragon who will suffer me the most. So considering that we don't know why things happen the way they do, but we do trust in the divine, or whatever you want to refer to, the energy that is the one that we are all a part of, that flows through and moves us all when we're in our highest vibration or in our highest expression. No matter what you've been through, I guarantee you it was for the best, because even if you're like, Rita, I'm still limping, you don't know, lost part of my colon along the way, I can guarantee you that it is for the best, and you are now polished and beautiful, like a very rare blue diamond, just precious, not man-made, just tempered by man. God bless you, and I'll be talking to you soon. You guys, love you.